Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank y'all so much for stopping by the live stream again. Shout out to the NTZ crew. I'm pretty sure y'all on here. Jacob Tanjay, Michael Beecher Life. Shout out to all my fourth quarter members. What's up, Jeffrey Tatter? I see W Secrets of Success on here. What's up, Cornelius Mack? Cisco International. Ron Lawson. All my old heads. What's up, Johnny S? Thank y'all for y'all's continued support. Any new viewers and subscribers join us today, welcome. Anybody catching this on replay? What's up, Blizzard Abroad, man? I watched your last video, man, and I wanted to ask you if I could share that on my community page. Let me know today. The peso is 55.41. It's staying at that little 55 area, man. I'm not going to complain. It could be worse. I do want to say thank y'all for everybody that's contributed to the fund for Rizal Cabañaro's family. Her funeral is Wednesday. Thank y'all so much, man. It means a great deal. Also, you know, I did want to tell y'all that the 8,000 mile club patches are still available. I have them at the meet and greet. I've got to talk to the engineer. I'm going to talk to him first because he's got a new hotel that they built. Well, really like an extension, and it's got a new, you know, restaurant and everything in it. I'm going to see if we can get that for the meet and greet. But he's running for city council, so it's the election today, so he's real busy. But I'll talk to him one day this week. And then the next one will be in Subic Bay in June. Once I get in contact with my with the contact who's going to set that up. Oh, okay, he's leaving today. Wow. I know you got that feeling. He's leaving the Philippines, yeah. You know, we always have a topic. Today's topic is walking on eggshells. The challenges men face in 2025. We just talk a little bit about that, but of course I want to talk about a few things. And first on my agenda, which we're not going to spend a whole lot of time about, but I wanted to go on record as saying I oppose this, I'm against it, and it didn't escape my attention. I saw where the first plane load of white South Africans are arriving in America. They've been granted refugee status by this administration. The administration states that it's a priority of that administration. They claim that they're being persecuted over in South Africa, but nobody else has said anything about it. They fast-track these applications, okay, because it usually takes years. You know, but every time I talk about race and how racist America is, people push back. This is racist when you prioritize white folks over everybody else. It doesn't matter if the country's going through war and natural disasters. We're going to get these white folks out of South Africa. They're being persecuted. Well, when black people were getting persecuted over there for decades, you didn't offer help. Okay, let's see y'all MAGAs and all of that. Let's see y'all what y'all got to say about this, because they're coming over here. They're going to have to work. But before they even get to that point, the administration says, oh, we're going to give them all the support they need to succeed. Housing, household items, groceries, everything. Got diapers, furniture, and jobs. Okay? He done paused everybody else's refugee status, guys. This is racist. All right? So we're not going to spend any time on that, but I want to let you know it did not escape my attention. I know I'm not crazy. I know what I'm seeing, living and experiencing is real. It's not fake. It's not made up. Okay? They prioritize those white folks over everybody else because they claim they're being persecuted. Bullshit. And everybody over there saying, no, they're not. But let's move on. to talk about the video I did the other day. Bad news for men under 50 traveling to the 50, under 50 traveling to the Philippines. Guys, don't overthink this. You know good and well, when you were younger, or if you're younger, you're going to spend more money than older guys. The reason I made the statement, and I just went on and made a video, is because everybody wants to throw expats into the same basket. Doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much money you got, or anything like that. When it comes to budgets and relationships and everything, we're all put in the same basket. But if you're a younger man and whether you retired through the military, a great business decision, a settlement, or whatever, you're going to need more money. Most of the vloggers, myself included, who talk about these things, we're older. We're in our 60s and above. I'm talking about the popular ones. So for guys 40 or 45 and he's listening to me, and I'm talking about, well, you may be able to make it over here on $1,500 per month. You probably can't. You're going to have $1,500 worth of Jordans. You're going to look nice. Okay? This is all I'm saying. And that's what I wanted to bring that up. Because everybody, if you're like me and you watch these vlogs, because I watch them, I just don't comment because, I bring the heat. People want to, if I say something, then all of a sudden, it's going to be 100 things up under my one thing. You get all these different opinions about the Philippines. It's good or bad, it's indifferent, whatever it is. And that's normal, guys. Remember that, because there's a lot of people with opinions. They're not right or wrong, it's just their opinion. So you got to come over here and join the fray with your own opinion. Because when I talk up on the Philippines and tell them people how good it is to me, they say I'm overselling it. I'm not. This is how I'm living. Hey, Hollywood baby, say, hey, Cal, I was watching your last live stream and your notice popped up for this stream. I guess my timing was perfect. Glad to catch you live again. Hey, thank you, man. And I don't know if you know Christopher Williams, but you should. He's a retired fireman in Atlanta. He said that was good giving out that 1,000 pesos, man. We've been doing that since July of 2020. That's how my channel got started. Long before anybody started watching me, I sacrificed $1,000 every week out of my savings to help Filipinos during the pandemic and the lockdowns. Yeah, we've been doing that a long, long time, man. But yeah, it is good, man, because I'm not going to live my best life over here and close by, millions of people are starving or whatever it is. I can't help everybody, but that's no excuse not to try to help people as much as I can. But he's not an Africaner. These are Africaners. See, not all white folks in South Africa are Africaners. Okay? Now, whether or not it has anything to do with it, but they're lying, Uncle Manny, it's the problem. They're not being persecuted over there. People are shocked. Other South Africans over there at these charges and allegations. But the point is, when you talk about America being racist, people push back. You can push back all you want. America has a history of being racist. The country was built on the blacks of non-whites. But people think you crazy. This country belongs to us. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna prioritize these white folks over everybody else. They've already done it. They're challenging it in court right now, but it don't matter. The Constitution means nothing to him. They fast-track these people's applications. It don't matter that he done paused everybody else's refugee status applications, Cass. Look this up if you don't believe me. Because I thought it was fake news when I first saw it. Okay? But no, it's just real news. They're coming over here, man. And not only are they coming over here, they're going to get big time support. So get mad at that. Okay, get mad at that because they're going to be taking your jobs too. Okay? There's Jacob Tanjay. Yeah, but when you talk about stuff like that, they want to say, they're going to call me a racist. Dude, I'm just having a conversation. I'm just telling you what's out there. You know, people want to tell me that I wasn't fighting the Ku Klux Klan in the 7th grade. Yes, I was. But one thing about Trump, he's just like my mother said, when they show you who they are, you can deal with them better. See, I can stay out of his way. It's these people who claim that they're not racist, who smile in your face and stab you in the back. Okay, Trump is showing you, okay, here's what we're going to do. Despite all the wars and natural disasters, he done put everybody, Afghanistan, Iraqis, Sub-Saharan Africa, all the other countries on pause. But he fast-tracked them. Yeah, we're going to give you support. We're going to give you so much support, we're almost going to guarantee your success. And we're going to give you jobs. See, in the news, they think you stupid. Instead of just saying, hey, we're going to give them a shitload of money, oh, we're going to give them housing, household items, furniture, expenses for groceries, transportation, diapers. Okay? Yeah, we're 60s plus. So when we start talking about money and budgets and all that, you got to be real careful, guys. You know, as a young man, I spent more. I'm telling you from my experience. I was here in my mid-40s, and I'm here now in my early 60s. I spent way more money when I first started coming over here. And you are too. Yeah, they're white South Africans. It's bullshit. They're not being persecuted. And even if they were, look at all the people down in you don't think the Cubans are being persecuted? Look at all the people down at that southern border who could say they're being persecuted. But these people, they blatantly doing it in your face. They say, we don't give a damn what you think. Okay? And they're calling it racism on the other end. Okay? So just in case y'all want to say, oh, this has nothing to do with race. Yes, it does. They're saying, the administration saying that South Africa has adopted racist policies against these people, taking their land and all that. That's bullshit. Okay? So don't talk about that stuff. What's up? I love LaChani. He said, you're not overselling it. It's paradise in my opinion. Yeah, and that's all it is. Everybody's got all these opinions about the Philippines. You can turn on YouTube right now, and there's people, oh, it's a shithole. Oh, it's a paradise. Don't get married. You're going to go broke. You're going to get arrested. But it's their opinion. You got to come over here yourself. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay, he said, yeah, I know C-Dub. That's my homie. We're at the same station. We were at the same station. Yeah, he's a great guy, man. I've got his book up there. But I'm reading I Wonder As I Wander by Langston Hughes right now. It's really a great book. Shout out to Joe B down in New Orleans. He said, man, I read this book, Cal. He said, I read this book. I thought about you. He's in 1930s. Cuba right now, but right now he's in Haiti. They've already left Cuba. Now imagine this guy met Mary McLeod Bethune when she was still alive. Okay, when she had opened up her college down in Florida. They said most of them need $2,000 a month and don't know it. Eating out, living in a big city, rented In gated communities, it's all up to you. You can live below, within, or above your needs. Yeah, but I guarantee you this though. Okay, if you're younger, you're gonna spend more money. You're more active. Okay, you're sowing your oats over here, man. I know I lost my man when I came over here. I was 45 when I first came. My first trip, I spent $2,500 just for 1 week. I knew nothing about the Philippines. Imagine flying all the way over here just to spend 1 week. But at the end of the week, I was shot, man. I was like, I can't go back. I'm sleepy. The jet lag was really hitting me. And I met the woman anyway, so I'm saying, okay, I'm going to extend a week. And the universe was with me because I cost Korean Airlines, they didn't even charge me a rebooking fee. Nothing. The lady said, okay, we'll move you to exactly 1 week from today when I called. I couldn't believe it. But I ended up, I was only here 2 weeks. I guarantee you I spent anywhere from $3,500 to, more than that, because remember, I only spent $2,500 for my airfare and my hotel fare. That first week, I probably spent almost $5,000. Okay, all together. But hell, this last ticket I bought, it wasn't even $900 for a round trip. Okay, and I'm not spending anywhere near, man. We were staying at, before the Cebu business center or district was what it is now, which is really nice. There was only just a smattering of buildings there, a couple of hotels. We stayed there. Man, I was staying in all the nice hotels. You hear me? Like I said, Crown Regency. I stayed at one hotel. I'm trying to think the name of it. It's over there by Ayala. Damn it, I can never think of this place. But anyway, every place was number 4 and 5 star because I'm thinking, oh, this is a deal. Blue Water. I stayed in Blue Water in 2010. Now you try to stay there now. Yeah, whatever, Brand Nichols. Okay, whatever. Well, it is what it is, though. And we're not even going to spend no time on it because, like I tell you all the time, the only thing worse than racism is racism deniers. Okay? It makes a difference. That's why he's prioritizing those white folks. They're white. Okay? He's paused all other refugee status. It normally takes years to get vetted for refugee status. Okay? He said, I give him 6 months. No, they're going to set them up to succeed. But you're not going to hear the ranting and raving that they're doing about the South border because those are brown people. Okay? Yeah, taking the land they stole in the first place. But the point is, when blacks were being persecuted over there, Bray and Brand Nichols, there was no help. As a matter of fact, the United States was backing apartheid over there. Okay? It was an extra foot on their neck over there. What's up, Jack? It's my buddy, man. He's back in Dumageddon now. He says, I could say, and I have a lot I could say about living here. I see a lot of racism here, but it's normally foreigners thinking they're above all Filipino people. Yeah, it could be true. Well, as I said before, I don't make videos for you to agree with, Jonathan, okay? Okay? All right? But don't come on here and disagree unless you got some proof. I'm talking, most of my videos, Jonathan, are about me. I was here when I was 45, and now I'm 61, about to turn 62. I spent more money as a youngster than I do now. And on average, younger men waste more money than older men. On average. Now, everybody is not the same. There's going to be young guys who are more responsible. but you prioritize entertainment and fashion and different things like that. You can disagree all you want, but show me some facts. I've been 45 before. You've never been 61. So how you going to push back? Look at your profile picture. Hell, you look 30. So how you going to disagree? Huh? This is the kind of stuff I put up with. You've never been 61 before. He says, yeah, you're looking more relaxed and showing less stress on your face now that you're back in the Philippines. Yeah, because, I say it over and over again, man. My heart is here, man. This is where I live. After being gone for 6 years, when I went back, man, I couldn't even find my friends. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have a license, the weather, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, I am a whole lot more relaxed over here. And remember, over here, I don't have any problem. Nobody bothers me over here. And no matter where I walk, people know me here in St. Carlos City. Okay, so that gives me a level of safety that I don't have at home. Nobody knows who I am there. Okay? Yeah, it's a joke. But they'll make anything up like that. They don't have to show proof. But the point I'm trying to make is people deny this stuff, and it's right there in your face. They'll still deny it. Well, how you going to deny that? He don't pause all other countries' refugee status. Okay? But he's going to prioritize bringing them over here like they're really just getting lined up and shot down and all that. It's foolishness, man. Y'all can believe that if you want to. Hey, Caribbean Casanova, thanks for that super chat. I missed the super chat. Wait. Oh, there. Sorry. Mo Apple, there it is. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, this was him that said that. Okay, you're looking much better. Less stress, yeah. Hey, what's up, Smiley? Thanks for that super chat. So USA is depressing right now. But if you say that to people, they all disagree. They don't want you to have an opinion or perspective. It was depressing to me. Even if I wanted to fool around over there, right? Look at my options that I had. I didn't have enough money to pay for them women over there in the red light district. They all cracked out and needle marks all over them, and they still want, $700 or whatever it is. Either that or Big Back, Susie. Yeah, but that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. He spent his whole life being white. They all have some type of black roots in them. What's up, TJ? This is TJ is AFK. Yeah, they don't want to. I've been 40 before. He's never been 60. He's going to say he disagree. How you going to disagree when the majority of the people that you see, I'm talking about just essentially going broke. We're not talking about getting sick and all that. These are young guys. I spent more money over here as a young man than I did. I see guys over here, they're younger than me. They're spending good money, man. They got it. They got more to spend, but they spend more. So you can't tell somebody, you can't paint all expats with one brush. That's the point of the video, because that's what we try to do with everything. We think we're talking to one person. Man, it's millions, of expats come over here to visit and live. But you're going to spend. Hey, DSP8, he said, Cal, you're making a great statement, and I've been many places in many different countries. I grew up in the projects of Louisville. Yeah, see now I was fortunate enough. My mother kept us out of the projects, but that didn't mean anything. When I met my American wife, she had just got an apartment in Carter Homes, and I moved in with her. Yeah, yeah. When they don't have, he said, when they don't have an answer for you outside of racism, they'll pivot it to it's always has to be about race with you people, because it is. This is certainly race. You read any article, and the administration says, "Oh, it's racist that they're, the racist policies of South Africa." They don't say anything about the decades of apartheid over there. There was no help for black people over there. So why all of a sudden, when they level the playing field over there and those white folks got to compete with everybody else, they can't just walk into a place and get hard. Now they're being persecuted. See, this is why Trump was voted in office over here. These mediocre white men who now have to compete with everybody, they can't do it. Okay, this isn't talking about the people who are overachievers and who did everything right. I'm talking about the mediocre people. When they leveled that playing field, they're mad now. Yeah, they're mad. That's what's happening over there. That's all it is. They want special treatment. They can't get it. So they can get it over here, though. I don't see anybody pushing back against that. Okay, now if that's not racism, if that's not welfare and all that, then you tell me what it is. He said the cost of living is depressing in America, especially when we return from Europe. Now, is their cost of living cheaper over there? He says you have to be in denial to accept the craziness in America now is okay. I know. He said, Calvin, that fatback discussion kind of rubbed off on me. Now I have a fatback living in my house. Hope she don't eat all my food. Well, we've normalized it now. Okay? We've normalized it. Is this even real, though? Because I saw this, and I was like, is this real? Where they put that? Because your answer comes right after what I said. We normalize, big women. It's like we're supposed to look beyond that all of a sudden. Knowing that men go by what we see, all of a sudden, that's not supposed to matter. Some woman with 5 chins and all that old crazy stuff, that old extra luggage I don't know what that is. They put on their belt, and then they got that big package underneath the belt. They got a big package here, and then back below, they call it the inner tube. But I don't know is that even real? Hey, Gerald, he said, granted all my life. He said, what's up, Cal? New subscriber. Hey, thank you. I know it says member, but you're a subscriber. I know what you mean, though. Thank you. He said, Calvin, it is a projection of white guilt. That's what it is, but I'm not trying to make them feel guilty. He said, Spain is pretty cheap. Even Barcelona, I lived there for a year. But see, I don't have any desire. I've been to Europe when I was in the service. I just don't have no desire to go over there because it's almost like living in America, especially with the winters and stuff. I want warm weather from here on out. Oh my God! Here these guys come. Who is getting threatened to get beat up today? I don't know. And beat up by Democrats with such poor health care. Well, how's it going to be your opinion? Okay, I'm not. You can't speak on it, man. If you haven't lived here as a young man and as an older guy, it's just my opinion. Okay, I didn't say you were trying to disrespect me. I'm just saying, you're a young man. How can you say it's not true that young men don't wastefully spend their money on average more than older men? The experts say they do. Okay, and my personal experience says that I do. I don't even have a car now. When I was in my 40s, I had a brand new convertible. Your spending habits change under normal conditions. Okay? So no, you wasn't disrespecting me. I just talk like this, man. If you're new to my channel, I don't have anything against you, but you say you disagree as if you've lived on both sides. Young men spend more money over here. All the young guys I met, they live in these fancy condominiums. I don't, very seldom do you see, who's the guy who got kidnapped and murdered? Okay, who comes over here with no job? It's a lot of them though, but he was young. Elliot, what's his name? Elliot, I forgot his name already. But anyway, very few of them. The ones who have the money, man, they spend it. They're in the nightclubs all night drinking because they say, oh man, these drinks are so cheap over here. But to say that young men aren't spending, they said impulsive buying, okay, lifestyle, and then financial stability. And remember, it's just my opinion, and then based on my experience. But we can disagree. We can agree to disagree. He says the statement you made about younger men spending more money in the Philippines may be true, yet it's true for many places. Yeah, I said that, but I said I'm just going to talk about the Philippines because that's where I am. He said I go in South America, and Europe, Spain, DR, and your dudes always spend more. Young dudes always spend more. I know they do. Man, okay, look, I'm just telling you my experience. When I first started coming over here, not my first trip, but like after that, my second trip home, when the older lady, she was 41, I was 45, about to turn 46. She was nice looking though. I mean, a fox. But she told me about, well, what are you doing with me? I'm an older woman. Most guys your age, they usually come over here and date younger women. I knew nothing about it. So when I come back the next time, I'm with a younger woman. I'm spending like crazy. And then when me and her split up, I'm like, well, I don't even really want a steady woman. I'm dating a different woman every single day. But every day I'm spending because you're going to have to spend. When I met my son's mother, I had $1,000,000 with me. At that time, I just say $1 million. I had $20,000 on my card. I spent $7,000 in 2010. Okay, that's a lot of money. What would that be? Somebody do that for me. What would 7,000 US dollars in 2010 be in 2025 dollars? Okay, I haven't come anywhere near that ever since. Yeah, Elliot Eastman. Very seldom. Now Saran a lot. He came under there. He's the exception. And who wants to live like that? He said, Cal, I disagree, which is his right to disagree. He says he's 40. Most times he lives on $400 or less every month over here. But he didn't go into the situation. He lives with his in-laws, though. Okay? He doesn't have any rent. But everybody doesn't want to live like that. Most young guys don't live like that, man. Y'all over here fronting, man. Okay, you live in the big life, man. I'm sorry, but you are. He says, I spend less because once I hit 50, a good night's sleep or a nice tune-up is all the same to me. I'm done with spending all night trying to get into something. Yeah, this is true. No, it ain't 387,000. 7,000 US in 2010. Let's just double it. Let's just double it and say, okay, it's 14,000 in 2025 numbers. Okay, that's a lot of money, man, to spend in the Philippines. He said, Cal, you're 200% correct. If I had all the money I spent blue partying and stuff that I wanted and not needed when I was younger, I would be sitting pretty good and would be way better off now. I think we all would, Scott, but it doesn't matter what I say. Somebody's going to push back against it. How can you argue the fact that when you're younger, you're going to spend more money? If a guy's 40 with 1,000 and a guy's 65 with 1,000, who you think is going to spend their money first? I'm talking about average. We're not talking about the exception. We're just talking about guys running around out here. Okay, the 40-year is going to have on nice clothes, certainly nice shoes. Okay, he's not going to be sitting at home cooking. He's going to be eating out TGI Fridays, Texas Roadhouse, Abaca Bake Shop. You're going to be in the mall. You're going to be in the nightclubs. You're going to be doing all of that. I know I did. I'm speaking from my experience. And when I looked around, I was like, wow, a lot of guys are spending more over here. But what happens is they all want to put us all in one basket. It doesn't matter whether it's dating, budget, whether or not you like the Philippines or not, the whole 9 yards. They think we're all the same. We're not. If there's a million Americans over here, which, when the Philippines gets back to its normal numbers, about 1 million Americans come over here every year. There's 1 million different opinions. He says, in Thailand, I found myself spending more on lodging because it's difficult to get lodging without some sort of quirk. Those looking to travel, be sure to cross-review American and African reviews. Now, this is great information here. I tell everybody, I suggest, let me put this, that you leave a review for us. I didn't used to do it, but I do it now because I know how important it is. Man, when I first started using Airbnb, man, I got some shitty places because I wasn't even reading the reviews. I do now. Oh, okay, 387,000, okay, pesos. Yeah, that would be, no, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, the buying power, Cisco, not the actual 7,000. I'm talking about the buying power. Just like my dollar's worth about 1/3 of what it was when Ronald Reagan was president. That's what I'm talking about. The value of the dollars went way down. So just say 7,000 in 1984 would be like having 21,000 today. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Eastman. Okay. He's saying 10,266 according to an inflation calculator. Now remember, this, I'm not talking about, that's a lot of money because I'm not talking about my first trip. See, when I was talking about bringing 20,000 over here, I'm not including my airfare. And I didn't book a hotel like I did before. I waited till I got over here. So I'm not even talking about my airfare. That's a lot of money to spend over here in 2 months. Yeah, but see, people don't, they don't want to get honest, Mopar. He says all of us older men spent more money when we were young going to the club. A young man isn't going to go off the grid for a one-on-one life with a Filipino. That's not the norm. Young men want action, not quiet. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. And this is common sense. But the reason I said it is because when we make these vlogs, it's like we're talking to everybody. When there's so many people who watch these, okay, across demographics, age, the amount of money you have, the education, we're not the same. So when guys say, oh yeah, you can come over here and live on $1,000 a month, a 35-year-old guy thinks he can do it. Man, you don't have the mindset at 35 to come over here and live on $1,000 a month. But somebody 65 may be able to do it. That's all I was saying. He says, I really love your videos at the crib because I've been home he says, I've been home in a few years because I spent so much time overseas. That statement about fatbacks got me in trouble. Well, we've normalized that, and it's okay, for women to be big like that, and anybody who's like that because of their DNA, I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about these women that lay around and have children and get big and don't want to take care of themselves, and then they want a man, they want a perfect man. See, my first marriage, I'm going to tell you what happened. My wife wanted me to change, but she didn't want to change. When I was drinking, stop drinking. Okay, so I stopped drinking. Smoking, stop smoking. And then I'll be reading. Oh, there you go reading again. Every time you read, you ignore us. So I stopped reading. I started going to the gym. Oh, you never spending time with us. You always at the gym, right? Meanwhile, she's not changing nothing. She's the same woman I married. Okay? This is something that men go through right now. They're not supposed to change, but we are. We're supposed to stay in tip-top shape and everything. Yeah. He says, show some love, guys. But that's a lot of money, guys, okay? And I spent every bit of it. I would have spent more had I stayed here longer. He says, I'm 34. I know I've spent more than I've made over the years. This channel is a must for future expats. Well, thank you. If I'm coming here, if I'm 40 years old and I'm looking at Old Dog New Tricks, if I'm looking at Sunshine Shoulders, if I'm looking at who else, Geo and all these others, and they're talking about budgets and everything, or whatever they're talking about, I really have to take it with a grain of salt, okay? Because these guys were so much older than you. And that may be the situation, where they're talking about, oh, well, a lot of guys, you'll hear them, they'll say, well, I won't date a young woman over here. Well, a young woman, for me, I'm 60, just probably to say I'm 62. Two weeks from today, what's today? 12, 19, 26. 2 weeks from Wednesday, I'll be 62. So a young woman to me is not going to be the same as a young woman to somebody 40. When I was in my 40s, I was dating women in their 20s over here. Now that I'm 60, I'm not going to date a woman in her 20s. So if you're listening to a vlog like that, you got to think, well, hell, I'm 40. A 20-year-old is not that bad for me. Yeah, we're not saying anything, guys. Stop putting words in my mouth. Okay? We're not even talking about managing money. That's for everybody. We're saying that when you're younger and you come to the Philippines, you're probably going to need more money than everybody else. If you're a young man, a young Western man under the age of 50, you're probably going to need more money than everybody else, than older men, than women. Okay? You're probably going to need more because you're going to spend more. The $1,000 budget doesn't apply to you. Hell, Jordans are $200 now. And then most of the young guys I see, they got on some type of gold jewelry. You're going to look nice. Okay? He says, I think, how old are you 8,000 miles away? He said, I think if an older man comes to the Philippines, he comes to relax. If an older man wants to spend and party, he goes to Thailand. Well, hell, you can party here. Shit. I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, see, this is a great point. And this is what they were talking about, impulsive thinking. They were talking about financial stability. Most older men will save and invest. Now, that a lot of young guys are saving and investing too. It's going to vary widely, okay? But we're just talking about on average, the average guy that you see over here. They're at Starbucks, man. Okay? They're not eating at the Carinderias or something like that. They're renting cars, man. I'm telling you, I hang with younger guys over here. I see the money they're spending. I'm like, man, I wish I had the kind of money that y'all spending. I mean, you go to the places where they live. You see their furniture. You see the whole 9 yards. It takes you back to when you were 40. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that you're going to need more money. Your thinking is not the same, man. My thinking is not the same. He said, you're only thinking about the good times you can have. Okay, this is exactly what the experts said. They said they prioritize experience, Bray. This is exactly what they said, what you're talking about. Entertainment, fashion, okay? This is what they're doing. They want to be on Boracay, man. They want to be where the action is. I know I did. And they're saying, well, I'm going to spend this. I can always go back to work and get more. It's the same strategy that a lot of financial advisors give you as far as investing. When you're young, you can be more, wild and free and take more risks because you're still working. You can recoup that money. But as you get older, you got to become more conservative. That's with everything. You don't see me running around, man, with 2 and 3 women anymore. But when I was in my 40s over here, I was doing that, man. I wasn't hurting anybody. I wasn't taking advantage of anybody. 2 consenting adults. But I was, man, when I was in Cebu in 2010, 2011, man, some days I'd be with a different woman every day. The dating sites was different then. Okay? I mean, you could really go on there, man. It wasn't so many scammers and all that, right? You'd be like, okay, look, meet me at Ayala or meet me at SM. They're there, man. And once they get there, okay, now it's on you. Well, what are we going to do? Let's get something to eat, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to the top, blah, blah, blah. Eventually it ends up back up at the hotel. But I don't do that anymore. I got one woman, man. That's all I need. So if people want to push back on that, man, crazy. And what happens is, a lot of guys, he said, if you spend more money than your condo, hotel, and plane ticket, you're doing something wrong. Remember, most of the popular vloggers over here were older. So, and then when you do listen to the young guys, that's all they're doing. It's talking about, women and, partying and where's the nice resorts and all of that. And when you watch the younger vloggers, their budgets are higher anyway because, especially the ones in Thailand, they be like, well, look what I got for 600 over here in Thailand. And it'd be some spectacular place. And I'm not spending 600 for rent over here, but I know young guys over here. Angelo Habib, a good friend of mine, he spends over $600 a month on his rent. But he's got a nice 3-bedroom house in Dubai. He's what, 45 or something, 44. Smiley, I think he spends 35,000 or whatever it is on his. He got a nice condo in Solanea, or one of those places over there by Ayala. Okay, these guys are spending big money like that because it's normal to them over there. I want a certain, look when I bring these women to my place. What's up, Kayana? Thank you. He said, have a blessed morning and night, y'all. He said, I spend way more money now than I did when I was younger because I have more money to spend. I think younger guys will spend more money than they can afford to spend. Well, like I said, on average, and then you're still young, right? How old are you, Cisco? And remember, you live in America. We're talking about when you come over here to the Philippines to vacation or to live. Those young guys are spending a lot of money. He said, Cal, who lives on 400? Well, he's a guy that follows this channel. His name is Saran a lot. You'll see him over here. And he pushed back against that video. He said, I disagree, Cal. He said, I'm 40, and most months I live on 400 or less. But who wants to live like that, though, the way he lives? I know where he lives. He lives in the province. And he lives with his in-laws. So he doesn't have rent for real. Okay? It's a big difference. And then some people do it out of necessity. I don't believe he has a job. I don't believe he has any type of recurring income or anything like that. But he said it, and I believe him. Yeah, I believe he does, based on where he lives. No, but no, man, you crazy, man. It's multi-millionaires over here, TJ, who spend less money than you. Okay? That's not true. Man, if you only knew the guys who sit at my table, they're multi-millionaires, dude. They don't live like that. They don't spend that kind of money anymore. Okay? I got two guys right here in San Carlos City that I can reach out and touch. And they both, man, financially well off. They're not wasting no money, man. They're not doing all the stupid stuff that young guys do. That's all I'm saying. We're talking about on average. Okay? Those guys are multi-millionaires. Okay? They can buy whatever they want to buy. They can go wherever they want to go. And they're some of the most conservative people. That's how they got rich. I've got another guy who comes over here from America. He's a multi-millionaire. Gave me that special knife I got up there. Drives a Tesla. He bought his son a BMW, what is it? M3? $100,000 car he bought his 20-year-old son. His son might be 21 now. Okay? But when he comes over here, you would think he's on a fixed income. Good and well, if a young guy has because I see it, these guys aren't even multi-millionaires. They're earning $5,000-6,000 a month, and they're spending like millionaires over here. I'm sorry, man. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, he said $2,600 a month at 63. What do you mean? Can you live over here on that? You should be able to, but who are you? This is the only question I really can't answer, guys. I told y'all that before, and it's true. I don't know what you like to do, where you going to go, who you going to be with. Does the girl is she single, or does she have 1, 2, 3 children? Are you going to live in Manila, or are you going to live in San Carlos City? Are you going to buy your car? What are you going to do? I just don't know. But you should be able to. He said, no lies detected. You change to give them benefit of doubt, but they change nothing at all. It's true. It's true, Juice, man. You know I'm telling the truth. If you can relate to that. My American wife, we were together, on the paper it was 18, really 16. The last 2 years I don't count. I had to continue to change. I had to continue to improve. I couldn't stay the same. But she could. If I want an argument, all I have to do is ask her to change something. Man, if I would have ever said, Why don't you go to the gym with me? Oh man, it would have been fighting words or something like that, you know. But as a man, let's get over here to the topic a little bit because we can always come back. Here's Saran a lot right here. And he said that he lives on most months, he lives on $400 or less. But he lives in the province. He's got some pretty unique circumstances. Okay? He lives with his in-laws, you know. He's really the exception. Okay? But the typical 40-year-old, and he's 40, is not going to live anywhere like him. You're not going to sit still, man. You know, like I said, Saran a lot, he is really like the exception because he's settled down at 40. He's married, got 2 kids, and, you know, his family's his life. Are there more guys over here? I'm pretty sure they are guys. But the guys I meet on average that come over here, man, they're not doing that. They're not doing that at all. They're ripping and running, man. They're tearing some stuff up. That's my buddy Smiley. How many women he running in and out of that condo? And he ain't the only one. Hey, Gobi Franklin, thanks for that super chat. He says, better to spend a little less and leave some in the bank for emergencies. I appreciate you, Cal. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I would say that. But try telling that to a guy like me who came over here. My nose was open, man. I was 45. I had just come from Cancun, Mexico. Man, Cancun, Mexico did not do to me what the Philippines did to me. I'm sorry. If you ever been to Cancun, Mexico, you know it's a nice place. There's beautiful women there. It didn't open up my nose. I didn't spend, man, a tenth of the money, and I was there for 10 days. I didn't spend a tenth of the money that I did in the Philippines. I mean, the Philippines had me wide open. When I went to the airport on my first trip to the Philippines, I had tears in my eyes. It was a life-changing experience for me. I'm not talking about anybody else. My videos are about me. Okay? And a lot of guys have that same experience when they come over here. It opens you up, man. Whatever money you got, you're going to spend it. Okay? But y'all guys, y'all don't want to be honest, man. With me, I can be transparent. I can be honest. You know, I don't have any secrets. But y'all want to act like y'all the perfect man. I got self-restraint. I can handle myself. I manage my money. I do everything perfect. Yeah, right. Until you don't. Now, Hayden, he says, I live on $1,000 a month and feel like I live like a king. Now, he's the older guy. You're over 50, though, right? He said, I eat the best food and live at a small resort. For me, I'm living a charmed life. And believe it or not, man, you took the words out of my mouth when I was walking yesterday. I said, you know, I do live the life of a king over here. You know, in my estimation, it doesn't mean that I'm rich, but compared to my life over in America, I do, man. You know, I come and go as I please. You know, I really live, like he says, a charmed life. But he's older. He's older, though. And remember, he lives on Bantayan Island. It all depends on where you live now. He's smart enough to know he's been back and forth to the Philippines a few times. Okay, and he weighed it up and said, okay, if I got $1,000 a month, I can't live in Manila, but I can live in Bantayan Island, or I can live in San Carlos City. He says, I've been to Cancun. I'm not impressed. Yeah, it didn't. I like Cancun. Anywhere where the beach is, I was right on the beach. I love the China. Okay. And I had met a guy. He was I guess he would be considered a dreamer. But he got caught. I don't know if he got in trouble. He got caught, and this is 2009. He got caught and sent back to Mexico. And he grew up his whole life in the United States. He was sent back to Mexico. And he showed me around. I paid him. He says, I spend $1,000 a month. I don't live like a king, but very comfortable, and that's with putting my stepkids through college. Yeah, and now how old are you, Scott? Because you look over 50. I made that video to say that young guys, when you watch these videos, man, a lot of it may not even pertain to you. Certainly when it comes to budgets, certainly when it comes to a lot of age gap situations. Hell, if you're 40, you don't want a 40-year age gap, do you? You know, you're going to have access probably to a different type of woman if you're younger. Certainly, you know, TJ says if we're talking on average, you're tripping and falling. Those guys aren't the average, and those dudes are still spending back home, as you said. Well, you know, not really. Their life is here. But what I'm saying is, I think you know what I'm talking about. It's just like you, TJ. Look at the life you live. See, you're making my point for me. Look at the life look at the money you spend over here as a young man. For whatever reason, we're not saying it's wrong, but you spend a whole lot more money than the older guys do. You know, you're making my point for me. We're not saying it's wrong. We're just saying that if you're younger and you move to the Philippines, this is what I'm saying. You may want to budget more than what you're hearing on these videos. That's all I'm saying. But okay, let's talk a little bit about, because we can always talk about anything y'all want to, but I just want to kind of touch on some stuff over here. And I was talking about walking on eggshells and the challenges that men face in 2025. And the first question I got on here, and I want y'all to think a minute about this. It says, what is the biggest challenge or challenge you face as a man in 2025? Is it money? Is it your health? Is it your bad habits? Bad decision making? What is it? Too much of something, not enough of something else? You know, because when me, okay, I'm looking, I'm on the outside looking in. I see Shannon Sharp, I see Smokey Robinson. You know, you see all these men going through this stuff as they get older in life. You know, the resurgence of the Me Too movement. Is that affecting us now? Because it seemed like that had died down a little bit. Now it's been jumped back up with a vengeance, man. And, you know, men, we have to walk a fine line now. Remember how Love LeChon said that he took some training at work, and he said just looking at a woman can be interpreted as sexual abuse. But we want to look at the whole picture, not just the Me Too, because we talk a lot about self-preservation on this channel. And it's a thin line between self-preservation and you as the man being the provider, the maintainer, the protector. How far do you take that? You know, what does self-preservation mean to you? Does it mean having yourself all the way together before you can take care of somebody else, or, you know, you're taking care of both of them at the same time? You know, this is what I want to talk about today. He said Mexico was my favorite. Okay, he's 55. Yeah, see, you're over 50. So you're on that steady decline. You slowed up. You slowed up. Most of us, 55, 60, 65, 70, we sold our oats. Okay, and even if you haven't and you come over here, it's not going to last for long. It's not going to be like the young guy, 40, 45, who comes over here and sowing his oats. It's like, it's never going to end. Um, but you know that if you bring a 40-year-old man over here and a 65-year-old man over here, and you put them down in the same Angeles City, man, with the same amount of money, and you say, okay, at the end of the night, let's see who's got more money, okay? It's going to be the 65-year-old. He's probably going to call it a night, man, before this other guy. Hell, I know me, man. I can't say it. That's the reason I don't go out with TJ and them and Smiley and them and stuff, because I promise, man, at 9 o'clock, I'm asleep. I'm talking about I'm sleep. I may get in the bed at 8 or 8:30. You know, people think, oh, Cal, man, you a party pooper, man. Come on, I came to St. Carlos to hang out with you. Well, I'm sorry, man. I'm 61. You know, I get up early and I go to bed early. Them guys just be getting started at 8. He said, Cal, I truly was blessed with my wife here and live in the province, and I'm happy. But for 3 years, I almost went back, but my wife treats me wonderful. So what do you mean you almost went back? Homesick? He said, I learned a lot from your vids, bro. My age gap is 7 years. Yeah, but you really are, man, the exception. And you're happy. We're not saying it's wrong to spend more money or less money. That's why I was telling you when you were talking about doing your, channel and stuff, right? But you just don't want to bring all that pressure, which is crazy, right? That people, they can't even, it's people like Saran a lot who we can learn a lot from simply because of the lifestyle he lives. Especially when you talk about budget. But he won't do it because he knows here comes these clowns, mostly men, that won't allow him to tell his story. He said, Cal, you are rich, my brother. Maybe not rich with money, but you don't really want for much and are very blessed in many other ways. Yeah, family, etc., peace, and peace of mind is worth a lot. It is, but I always say I'm rich. The money just hasn't caught up with me yet. I mean, I really live the best life I've ever had over here. And somebody on the outside looking in maybe say, oh, man, you got a boring life. But it's really not. He said, but we did. But we went on a 3-day vacation, and I watched all those younger guys spending money like it was water. So I get your point. You do, man. I mean, it's just common sense. Okay? It wasn't earth-shattering information when I said that, Scott. Okay? But everybody wants to put us all in the same basket. Everybody knows younger men spend more than older men. But when you come to these vlogs, they're saying, oh, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. I can do it. Or, like, look at the guy living abroad here. Look how young he was. Imagine what his thinking is. Oh, I can come over here. He never really said how much he had. He said that the bank held $3,500 at his back. He's better than me. I'd have been on that phone every damn day. They would have sent me out another check. He claimed that, they sent it to the wrong address. Well, after a certain amount of days, dude, who you think you're talking to? They'll issue you another check, as long as that check hasn't been cashed. That's your money. Okay? But you came over there, you didn't have enough money. And you getting over here, you spending, smoking, probably, drinking, He said, Cal, isn't a car important to date a professional woman? Well, you mean here in the Philippines? I doubt it. Man, one thing that I really like, and you can argue whether it's changing or not, but how humble a lot of these women are, man. They ride the jeepneys all day. If you took her out on a date in a jeepney, and she wouldn't think any less of you, okay? Rent a damn scooter over here if you want to impress her. You know, said, Cal, I think it's important that people can identify with their target audience. I listen to you because you're in my age group. I find it hard to relate to 20 and 30-year-olds. That's exactly right. I tell people all the time, if you're on YouTube, you better know who your audience is. YouTube does all that for you anyway. They'll tell you who your audience is. And this is one of the reasons why I love it here. I don't think Boobie's going to be doing all that twerking and stuff like that. Maybe she will, but she's very respectful, man. Boobie finished first in her kindergarten class. But I think one of the reasons was because of her behavior. When you go to these little programs and stuff, Boobie's just sitting there. All them other little kids are ripping and running around, the mother's chasing them around. Boobie just sits there. And I think that has a lot to do with, Maryland and, the house she grows up in. And, of course, the culture. But he said making sure my sons grow up as proper men. Without all the distractions that we have. He says, my biggest challenge is time. Will I have enough to enact the dreams I have created? And see, I got that on here, Hayden. I've got your purpose, What is your challenge, really, guys? Put it over here. He did. Because I know on my channel, I get a lot of perfect guys. Everything's going right for them. Their ego won't allow them to tell you, hey, man, I'm struggling with something. Because I got down here, why do men struggle over here in the Philippines? I wasn't even going to put some men. I think we all struggle to a certain point over here, but some more than others. But why do men struggle over here? We're coming from this first world, countries. We come from first world countries. We're supposed to have, better education, better standard of living, everything. But we struggle over here. And a lot of times it's because of who we are. See, the Philippines will expose you. It'll show you who you really are. You may be able to hide that stuff in America, but over here, when they let the gates open, man, it shows who guys are. Because some guys who I chatted for years online, and then they got over here, man, they totally different. They're totally different. But you see a lot of men struggle. And, I'm saying to myself, I thought the Philippines is supposed to be so easy. I thought it's supposed to be so cheap. So what is it? It's you, more than likely, that's causing the problems. But a lot of times, men, we get in our own way, man. I mean, he said, how much you spend has more to do with how much money you have to spend than it does how loud you are. But young men will spend more responsibly. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about younger men spend more money wastefully on average than older men. This is what we're talking about. Yeah, of course, if you got more money, you're going to spend more money. But I don't know. If you're younger, more than likely you are. But I'm just telling you from my experience. I was here at 45, about to turn 46. I'm 61 now, about to turn 62. Man, I don't spend half as much money as I used to. I just don't have the energy. I don't want to go to places, all the places I used to go. I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. I'm asleep at 9. When a lot of the young guys, they just getting started. He said every time you take one of those trainings, remember that something happened dumb enough to necessitate its legislation. Well, a lot of dumb stuff has happened. I think that we're not holding women accountable and people accountable who make these charges, who make these false charges. They're not being held accountable. They can just, I'm going to drop the lawsuit and go on about their business. No, lady, you need to be held accountable some kind of way, or man, or whatever it is. Yeah, let's see. That's Raymond. He says, Cal, would it be better just move in a nice small apartment, like you said, then later on get a condo, rent it out, and then later on get you a nice house? Well, it just depends on who you are. You may end up liking that small apartment. You know, that's what you're talking about here is what I would suggest anybody do. Take it in phases, man. You know, some people come over here, they're all in. And then next thing you know, they're all out. Instead of just biting off a little bit at a time. Like, okay, see if you're gonna like it over here first. You know, you might want to get the 10,000 peso a month apartment and say, okay, let me see if I can really, if the Philippines are gonna grab a hold of me like it did Calvin and a lot of other guys before you want to step out there. You know, we're in such of a hurry. See, that's one thing that happens to us when we get over here. The Philippines speeds us up. See, just like Haydn, he doesn't have any more time over here than he does in America. But I made a short a long time ago. When I got here, I wanted to live to be 150. It's just the way that the Philippines grabs a hold of some people. You want to live longer when you get over here and everything's going right for you. But he don't have no more time over here than he does over there. But the Philippines will speed you up. It has an effect on some people, different than others. We're not all the same. Some people's like, man, let me get out of here. I'm going to Thailand or whatever, Malaysia. I'm going back home. But to Raymond's point, I would bite off a little bit at a time. Certainly when it comes to women, man. And that's another thing that guys do. They fall in love with the first woman. The first woman is usually it's not gonna work out. And when you tell people that, they're so, does it work out? Yeah. But the odds are against you. The odds are against you. He said, Cal, it's a fine line between pursuing and harassment. Dating as we grew up is totally different. Hell, females used to be able to play hard to get just to make sure you were serious. Not now. Yeah, as much as things change, they stay the same, though. Okay, women, it's a harassment if the woman doesn't like you. DSPA. Okay, if she likes you, it's not harassment. Okay, that's usually how that works. It is a thin line, though. He said my girlfriend has a car. Yeah. Well, that's good, and now that's the exception right there. Okay, that's really the exception. But it's not out of the ordinary. But it's the exception for the women that we meet over here that has a car. Merlin can drive. Her ex had like one of them old Jeeps from World War II, and he taught her how to drive it, but she didn't have no car. And the women that I know that have cars, man, they're in a great shape financially. Like Merlin's ex-boss, she's an accountant. She's got a whole bunch of different, she got a lot of business. She built a new house, maybe like a year before we built ours. And her and her husband bought a new car, but he eventually died. He got sick and died during COVID. But those only ones remember there's a growing middle class here. You may not know that, but it is. And they got cars and stuff. But for the most part, most of the women that we meet, they're on the dating site for a reason. It's usually not for love. And does love develop? Yeah, but it's usually not for love. It's usually out of necessity. Frank Tate, now this is the money guy. He says, young man, please save your money. I was in the hospital here in Manila for 1 week. Wow, that cost me 10,000 US dollars. Good thing I'm a man of means. Yeah, good thing you're an older guy and you saved and invested your money and you're not young out there spending like crazy. So you had the 10,000, but man, that's a lot of money, man, for 1 week. See, this is stuff like this right here that'll make you stop and think right here. Okay. We talk about healthcare and everything like that, but we gloss over it. We just keep going because I don't want to think about it. It's not going to happen to me. When that's one thing that the young guys have over us. Their health insurance is going to be less, a whole lot less, and it's your health that buys your health care coverage. I mean, if I'm 40 years old and I come over here, man, you probably could get $1 million worth of coverage over here in the Philippines. If he, I was 60 when he quoted me. It was, I want to say, was it 26,000 for the whole year? 26,000 pesos for the whole year, and I was 62. So imagine if you're 40, or 45, or 50, and you're in good health. You know, why would you put that off? I mean, if you're going to spend money, those are the good things to spend money, the smart things to spend money on. Make sure your girlfriend has coverage. Even though they have universal health care coverage over here, make sure she's got coverage. Certainly if she has a baby. When Merlin had Booby, man, my bill was $16,000 after her insurance paid, for your health paid. And I'm talking about Booby was in there for 2 weeks. Merlin was in there for 1 week and include the doctor, all the, the food and the board, the room and board, everything. But I'm glad you're feeling better. Yeah, it's just this new camera. It has a microphone on it too. I didn't know it. I'm gonna have to get me another one. It is, but let me read this first because this is true. This is why younger guys have a problem. See, now we're talking. He says, Calvin, it isn't hard for you not to look at other beautiful women in the Philippines. How do you deal with it? Well, I've been there and done that. I've sold my oats. Okay? When you're young like that, man, you're going to have a problem over here. He said, I'm guessing you can deal with it because you got it out of your system already. Absolutely. But if I'm a young guy over here, which I was, I'm telling you from experience, man, I messed up some good things over here, man. I had some good things over here going on. I messed them up. I was too young for what was going on over here at that time. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. But see, now it's like, because I remember my American wife's mother saying something about men. She says, oh, these men, they're just all the same. They just have a different face. And that's about where I am now as it comes to women anywhere, really, certainly over here. I'm just like, well, I'm going to be starting over. I got to learn her all over again. Can I trust her? They're basically going to treat you the same way. But yeah, you're onto something right there. And it takes a while for guys to. But you got people who are even exceptions to that rule. They'll find one woman and they'll say, what are the young guys? Now, do they look? Absolutely, they look. But I don't even look as much anymore like I used to. I certainly, excuse me. in St. Carlos City, I don't even look at them in the eye. If I see them, I just wave because the eyes don't lie. That's how they'll get your attention. That's how they'll let you know is it something there or not, or if they're interested or not. So I don't do that anymore. He says, I came for the first time for 21 days. My second trip was 4 months. Third trip was 6 months. I had to find out the truth about myself. Was this truly the place for me? And this is what I was just saying. Sometimes you just got to bite off a little bit at a time. Is it for you? Why come over here? Some guys jump right in, man. Okay? And they end up regretting it. They come over here, they buy a house and lot and all them different things like that, and they end up regretting it. Then they have to sell everything. Certainly with a car, man. I mean, I don't know. Some guys, they'll buy the car because they want their independence. But you see what happened with John's car. John paid 13 or 14,000 for that car, and I think his girlfriend ended up selling it for like less than half of that. Hey, Confident Voice Speaks, thanks for that super chat. He said, what's up, Uncle Cal and the Sunshine Shoulders crew? I just finished looking at a lot here. It's a reasonable price. I'm going to grab it. I would, okay, because it's only going to go up. If you wait any longer, it's going to go up. It's going to cost you more. And if you just decide, okay, let me buy this and let me sit on it for a little while before I even decide to build, then you can sell it. But people think that you can't trust people over here. The Filipinos can't be trusted. That's not true, man. I'm more liable to be scammed in America than I am over here. I mean, even if I'm not Sunshine Shoulders, I'm telling you guys, I worry more about being scammed in America than over here. And then if you do get scammed, okay, say for instance, okay, I'm going to tell you something. Because what we do, we'll draw it all out. Okay, we'll say, okay, it's a 200 square meter lot over in that real fancy subdivision over there. 200 square meters. Just say they want $1,000,000 for it. Okay, that's what, $17,000, right? But what guys will say, oh man, the Philippines, their land is expensive. If so what would an acre cost? Well, you're not going to buy an acre. But anyway, okay, you spend that, and you build another, you say you spend another million or two on the house. And you and your girl, y'all end up getting divorced. But let's just say, let's don't go that far. Let's just say the land. Well, you're out of 17,000. That's why I say buy the land and sit on it for a little while. Don't build right away. Make sure that the woman who you think she is, or who she says she is, before you do that, because that's what happens. Guys come over here, they start building right away. Look at the guy, Jim's Asian Adventures. Okay, I like watching his channel, but hell, he did everything wrong. He did everything wrong. He spent all that money on that house. I don't even think he can go back to the house now. Okay, I'm talking about he was spending the money before he even got over here. Don't ever do that. Don't ever start building a house in the Philippines unless you're here. Every single day. Okay? Just to keep honest people honest. Just to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. And then get you an engineer. Let him handle all that headache and stuff like that. Of whether the guys are slowing down and all that. See, Filipinos, they know all the games. They're not gonna put up with that. But if you just try to hire your own crew and build your house, man, they're gonna play all kind of games with you. Okay? But I say do not start sending money over here. I've seen so many just disaster stories. Even when the woman has all good intentions, she don't know how to manage that kind of money. She just don't know how to do it. So you get somebody that's knowledgeable. Okay? like the engineer, who knows how much the materials cost, who knows how much time it's going to take for them to put that roof on. And any delays is going to cost him because you've already negotiated the price with him. See, this is the problem that, a lot of those people in Dumageddon, they got cheated. Okay, I'm not giving you not. Okay, if you ask me, if you say, okay, it's going to take a third down before you start. Okay, here's the third down. You're not getting any more from me until I can see the results of the third that I gave you down. Well, of course, let me go back to this question. He says, will the women accept you if you only want to date and not get married? Well, that eventually is going to come. Okay, that question is eventually going to come. Okay, what's your plans for me? Okay, that's eventually what's going to happen. But then again, it just all depends because a lot of these young women, they're really not in a hurry to get married. Okay, I talked about that a long time ago. They'll be a sugar baby, but you got to take care of them. Well, there's big backs everywhere, but compared to America, nothing compares to America. Okay, when it comes to big backs. Yeah, if you're not on top of it, if you get the engineer, it's not going to be slow. But we try to get cheap about it. It's actually, you're actually going to end up spending less money when you have an engineer than if you try to do it yourself. I had a couple come and visit me here. I'm trying to think where they live. They don't live really far from me. But I'm thinking they live in some part of Cebu somewhere. Well, anyway, he was sending money over here for her to build a house, and he was like, Cal, I already spent twice what you spent on your house. And he showed me pictures of the house, man. It's not skim coated. It's not even finished. It's nowhere near finished. He said about at that time, which maybe it's finished now. It was about 2/3 finished because of what I'm telling you. You give them the money, they start slowing down. They say, oh, it costs more than what you agreed on. It's crazy. But that's the best thing I did, hindsight being 2020, because I didn't know going in. I was trusting him, he was trusting me. It ended up working out for both of us. I mean, come to find out, the engineer is a damn good guy. He, you know, he wasn't hurting for money, and he was trying to build. He already had a good reputation, but not as a builder, not as a home builder. He's one of the top engineers, certainly in San Carlos City. They send him all over Asia for different environmental projects and stuff like that. I was his first job. And I told him, I just said, hey, man, I'm going to document this. So if you do me right, you're going to get more business. He's still getting business off my channel. One of my subscribers is coming either the end of this month or one day next month to talk to him about building a house. And then I've got another subscriber coming, what's today, the 12th, tomorrow. He wants to talk to the engineer about building a house. These people are serious about building houses. He says, thanks for the super chat, Sonny D. He said, why travel 8,000 miles to the other side of the world for a big bag? Yeah, that's my whole point. I mean, remember, one thing that we don't do over here, okay, make sure that you got what you were expecting. Don't take anything less than that. You come too far. You know, people is like, oh, you guys are you're settling over there, and we'll push back and we'll say no because it's better than what I had in America, and that's true. But sometimes guys do settle. You know, they'll settle. It's like, look at all you bring to the table, man. Make sure that whatever it is, if a car you're buying, you know, if it's a condo you're renting, certainly if, you know, if it's a woman you're dating, make sure you're happy with that. Because you got to look at it every day. You got to drive the car every day. You got to live in the condo every day. Make sure it's where you want. Because Solanea, man, if I ever moved to Cebu and I was going to rent someplace, it would be Solanea simply for the gym and the swimming pool and the surrounding area. He said, Cal, when is the Vietnam meetup? That would be nice, but see, it's so crazy because I'm going to give it a little time for, you know, the immigration situation to calm down. I don't like going through that stuff. You know, even though I know I haven't done anything, I hate being pulled out of line like that. Oh, come on, you got to talk to my colleagues. It's like, well, you don't have nothing. I mean, just, you know, but everybody else is looking at you like, what's he done? You know. And I just give it a little time, you know, to calm down. But that would be nice. Hell, I'd more likely do a Thailand meetup. Man, it was just as many guys in Thailand who knew me than any place I've ever been in the Philippines. When Mr. Lee took me to, we were in Pattaya, because my buddy that flew over there with me, he went to Phuket. I went to Pattaya. And I said, man, take me to Soy 6. I want to see what the Soy 6 is. And he took me there. And he had a friend who had a bar. It was a woman. So he said, oh, we can sit over here. And man, there were so many guys that knew me there. Oh, okay, so you're talking about Vietnam. Okay, well, hell, we might have to figure this something out then. But yeah, there was a lot of guys who knew me over there. I was shocked. He said, did you ever imagine the amount of lives you would touch when you got your internet fade? Absolutely not. And anybody that says they did smooth life is lying. There's no way you can know. That's what keeps me humble. I've never changed. I'm still the same guy. That's why I let guys come over my house, whatever it is, man. You know, a lot of people, though, when they get this so-called internet fame, they really think they're celebrities. You know, now some women, I understand it because it be some thirsty men, you know. Like I used to get on Filipino P, but the more I thought about it, I was like, as big as she is and as crazy as some of these guys are about her, I don't think it would be safe for her to have a meet and greet and all of that stuff, right? But some people really think that they're a celebrity. That, man, you don't know where they live. You know, they certainly they won't even answer your emails and messages and stuff. I'm like, wow, how could that be when it's because of them that you're in the situation that you are? No, he said, will a DWI on my record hurt me? It won't. If you can get a passport, you can come over here unless you're on some type of blacklist. They don't do that checking. The United States is going to do all that before you get your passport. once you get the passport, I got a friend of mine who did 19 years in prison. And he asked me the same thing because he's got plenty of money now. He's in real estate and everything like that. He turned his life around. He's like, man, I haven't been anywhere because I can't. I'm afraid they won't give me a passport. I said, man, they'll give you a passport. And he's been traveling ever since. He said the dry season will be ending soon, then the rains, typhoons per Pagasa. Yeah, that's a Philippine, I believe, agriculture. Not agriculture. It has something to do with their weather. This is their weather station. Now, it's going to be a while, though. Hell, what, June is when the dry season ends? But it's not going to start right away. And this, I'm glad he brought this up because we'll come over here and we'll plop down anywhere. We'll plop down anywhere. Wherever the woman lives, we'll just go there. Tacloban, Bico region, Lady, without even knowing what the weather pattern is like over there, man. You better know where you're going in the Philippines with this weather, man, because it can change on a dime. Yeah, this the only ones. Anybody that's had some type of, I don't know about drug dealers. I've never seen anybody get stopped for that. But anybody said if you got any type of sexual abuse or pedophilia or anything on your record, because the United States is coordinating with the Philippines. So if it's on your record in America, you know, the flags are going to come up over here. But even when it rains here, it doesn't rain that much here in St. Carlos City. And if it does, it don't rain long. It'll rain either most of the time early in the morning. I'm talking about like late at night, like 2 or 3 in the morning. It'll be hot as hell. Then it may rain, you know, for what, 1 minute or something here. Because I always ask Maryland, I thought this was supposed to be the rainy season. It just depends on where you live. If you live up there in Luzon, you're going to get the rainy season. He said, what time is it? What's up, Cal and Sunshine Shores community? Cal, when I need that new ID to travel, it's been 3 years since I've been back to the Philippines. Now, your passport is the real ID. I mean, you know, you either got the passport or the real ID as far as, you know, your ID, but you need a passport to come over here. You don't need the real ID. They're going to ask you for that. All you got to worry about basically here is if you on some type of do not fly list or some type of pedophilia or sexual abuse, they're not going to let you in here. You know, that's why, see, people know that. That's why when they lobbed those false charges against me, it was human trafficking, exploiting Filipino women, stuff like a serious stuff that will make them say, hey, hold on, we got to look at this. He said, can you speak on having a sexless marriage? What do you mean, over in America? He said, I would like a video on that and how you had to cope with that and what led up to that. I heard you mention it before. Well, you just start, separating really from each other. And she don't turn you on, you don't turn her on, but it didn't last long, really. I mean, it wasn't no years that I went. I really, I had to beg for it most of the time, but it wasn't 100% sexless. There's some guys on here right now who are dealing with that now. But it got to the point where I just wasn't turned on, man, and I thought, man, maybe my equipment wasn't working. Okay, but that wasn't the point. She just, we just stopped. I got to the point I just wasn't turned on. I wasn't begging for it anymore. He said, hey, Cal, I retired last year. I'll be turning 62 in August. I'll be renting a condo in Cebu City in November. I can't wait. Yeah, I like Cebu. I really do. But when me and Merlin was in Manila, I'm really starting to like Manila because I don't know enough about Manila. I'm just going by all the traffic and the congestion. But it's some pockets in Manila where you can escape that. And I really like that Newport City and different places like that where you can get a condo probably for the same amount you can in Moncton, Newtown, or one of those places. He said, when I met Cal at the immigration, he was humble as hell. Great dude. Yeah, man, this is just who I am, man. I'm not a celebrity. I don't look at myself as a celebrity. Maybe some people do, but man, I've never looked at it that way. That's part of my appeal. Yeah, it is. Just touch it, whatever, and I just don't deal with that anymore, man. Yeah, I just don't deal with that anymore. I was with, I mean, man, look, I was with my American wife for 16 years, man, and she would still say stuff like, "Oh, that's all you want is sex." I'm like, after all of this, okay, what do you mean? That's all I want. I mean, it's something in their mind over there. It's like, lady, I'm a man. I'm supposed to be attracted to women. I'm supposed to want it. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you don't want it, oh, you don't care nothing about me. Then if you do want it, oh, you're a freak. That's all you want. You can't win. So I just want to be with a woman who understands that. Who's still young enough to really want it and like it. He says, how far you live from that volcano that erupted 1 or 2 years ago? How far away from Calaon? Well, there's another, man, there's so many volcanoes here. The Calaon volcano, what do you say, about an hour and a half? Yeah. So maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. No, just 1 hour. Maybe 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. In a car, about an hour. But that's the Calaon. That's been the Tall volcano. They've got, there's so many, man, here. But the one that we live by, it's active. It's spewing some stuff now. What's up? Michael Beach Life. Yeah, I forgot you're in Cebu for your birthday celebration. Yeah, it's a natural turnoff, man. I promise you, man, I quit begging. When I came to the Philippines, I stopped begging. Women are more understandable here. It's like, okay, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't see what the problem is. That's natural. I don't think we teach our daughters enough about men. We teach them the opposite. Okay, I raised 4 daughters, and I'm teaching my daughters, subconsciously to be skeptical of men. And I'm basically planting a seed in their minds about men. Hey, Sonny D, thanks for that super chat. He says, sexless marriage, yeah, it's an American phenomenon. But I have heard of guys over here claiming that now that the woman had the baby over here and now she doesn't want to have sex or something like that, right? Well, there's something else going on with that, okay? Like I said, me and Merlin, we just have a good relationship. She knows I'm taking care of business, and she takes care of business. We just don't have that problem. And I've never had that problem here. But remember, you got to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. There is an unspoken agreement, guys. I have a couple of times, but the one where I really felt it, we were living in Lapu-Lapu, and it was a big one, man. I mean, it woke me up. and then it was the aftershock. It was either on Christmas of 2011 or New Year's 2012. I mean, it was heavy. I mean it. I mean, it was really bad. I used to have one. We're getting back to that. We're supposed to be going today. See, when I went home, man, I got all out of sync. I'm getting ready to get back into my working out and stuff. I like to work out. I've gained a little weight, but it's really just good living. But yeah, normally I do. Under normal conditions, I do. It's only, okay, I get a membership. So I pay for the whole month. But if you don't pay for the whole month, it's less than $1 a day if you want to go. And it's a modern gym. It's really a nice gym. And now they've done something that I really like. They have boxing matches on Fridays. On Friday evenings. I mean, because this guy, man, he's smart. He's a businessman anyway. His family owns a hotel across the street, the Palau Hotel. And they got all kind of businesses. But he's smart. That's why when I put on that bodybuilding contest, he was all behind it. You know, he let us use the place, his ballroom in the hotel. He supported it. You know, but this boxing thing, man, it's going to be big. They've only done it for 2 weeks, and I wasn't here. I'm here now. This Friday, I'm going. It's crowded, man. It's packed. I mean, if anybody comes to St. Carlos, I'll take you. Because I'm going. What's up, Marlon? Thanks for that super chat. He said, you don't deserve everything you have gone through at these airports. I wish the proper authorities found out who caused this mess. Yeah, you're right. Nobody deserves that. But, you know, the real guys, there's enough real threats that come over here, Marlon, that they can't just let you go through like that. They're going to address it. And the bad guys know that, you know, so they'll sit at home in their basement or whatever, and they'll shoot off something to immigration. Hey, you know, he's over here doing X, Y, Z. Knowing that, you know, the credit I give Filipino authorities, they don't spend a whole lot of time on it, though, because they know it's taken away from their time hunting down the real bad guys. You know, they'll put you through the ringer and ask you the questions to try to, you know, shake you up and see if anything's there. But other than that, they're like, we don't have time for this stuff. He said, yeah, old Humba, one of my favorites, man, mine too. Wasn't your mother supposed to make that win? When was your mother supposed to make that? Because I heard her talking to somebody about the ingredients. Oh, yeah, I love that Humba, man. He says, this is how the majority of women are here in Japan also after they have kids. Wow. Yeah. I've never had that problem. You know, but that's usually a good thing when you, okay, I'm 61. I want a woman 20 years younger than me. I'm not going to have that problem. If I date a 61-year-old, okay, because Shaq, you know, Shaq's a hypocrite, though. Okay, back when him and Jerry, what's the guy, Bus, was having their little beef, right? And Shaq was like, well, I want an owner that messes with women his own age. So, you know, if Jerry Buss was in his 60s, you know, he's saying, instead of a man that's going to mess with a woman decades younger than him, right? Shaq's hating on the man. Now, here Shaq is now, he's what, 53 or something like that. Look at the women he's dealing with. 21. His last girlfriend was 21 years old. Okay. What would I look like dealing with a woman 61? I'm going to have those problems because we don't age the same. Okay, I'm just telling you. Yeah, there you go. Have a nice day. He says there are more natural disasters in the Philippines than any country. Yeah, your likelihood of being involved with a natural disaster is higher here than anywhere else. And you need to know that. But guys, they over here following the women, okay, and they don't look at the area they're going. I tell you, a lot of foreigners died in Tacloban in that Typhoon Yolanda. He said, Cal, how do you deal with temptation? Well, like I said, I've been there and done that, and then I've got a sexy woman myself. I mean, have you seen Maryland? That helps, man. I mean, I just been there. I'm 61 now. I don't need all that before like I used to. It doesn't, I'm not willing to risk what I got anymore. I don't want to start over. I really got a good thing going. That helps. That's why I'm telling you, when you come over and you start getting involved with women, and you say, okay, I'm going to have a live-in or whatever it is, make sure she's really the one that you want to be with. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. There is something called rubberneck syndrome, or the roving eye is what they call it. And you're going to think, oh, I could have this. When a lot of times you could. But what helps me is, man, my woman that went into the gym, man, and just transformed herself. I couldn't go out and find another woman like Marilyn. Then that's on top of all the other things that I can trust her. She's the mother of my daughter. She's proven herself already. Remember, guys say, oh, don't build a house over there. Don't do this, don't do that. They're going to kick you out. Man, most women over here, overwhelming majority of women over here are not like that. But that's how I deal with it, man. Like yesterday, okay, we're out. Man, Maryland's looking better than those young girls. With them short. Maryland likes to wear Daisy Dukes and them tight tops and stuff like that. See, that's what keeps my attention. And I don't have to beg for it. Oh man, he said, well, 200,000. Man, you could build a mansion over here for that. $200,000? You better make sure you got the right woman over here to do something like that, or the right situation. Look, right now, let me tell you something. You could build a nice house over here for 50,000. I mean, a real nice house. He said, I get here 24/7, 365. If you're not here, you're in the wrong relationship. Yeah, it's just, this is what a lot of men, why they lose their damn minds around a lot. Especially somebody like you who's taking care of business at home. It's really, the woman's going to take care of you. But you coming from over there where you're trying to be slick and you're trying to get something for nothing, you're going to run into problems. But if you over here, you're taking care of business, you're holding up your end of the unspoken agreement. I mean, stuff like that, man. It's just not, that's normal right there. Well, that's never happened to me over here. I've been very fortunate. And remember, we get unlucky over here, Smooth Life. We don't get lucky. We get unlucky. And you can get unlucky if you start rushing and trying to find somebody. But for the most part, women over here, that's one of the reasons men love Filipinos. They're loyal. They're committed. If they see that you're committed, that's why I tell guys, I say, okay, look, when you first come over here, get you a pair of dark glasses. Because if they just see you looking at a woman like that, man, it's going to take something away from you. They want your 100% attention. And if they got that, there's nothing they're not going to do for you. But you do get guys over here, they either can't hold up their end of the bargain, or they may just be a little bit too old or can't satisfy the woman. Remember, they want to be satisfied. They're not from outer space. If you can't satisfy them, maybe they'll go look somewhere else. That's one of the things about having too big of a age gap. because we see it over here. It's not that the woman is, cruel and all of that. But it's like, okay, if she's 30 and the husband's 75 and he can't do anything, she's gonna, she's not gonna do it in his face, you know, because we know people like that already. Our old next door neighbors was like that. I mean, the woman never even tried to hide it in front of her friends and stuff. They knew. I believe the man knew. Hey, Marty said, Cal, sir, we had a 63 girl here in Houston. Yeah, kid. Yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't. Older women like that just, they just don't turn me on anymore. Well, it's just they're very traditional women over here. Certainly different from what you're used to in America. They're not competing against you over here. They're more like we're a partnership. Okay, I'm just telling you my experience, you know. But I take damn good care of the women I'm with. So, yeah, it would be a trouble if, if I'm not getting taken care of. But they don't look at it like that. They don't look at it like you being nasty and all that. It's just, okay, this is my man. I want him to be happy. Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, you because, okay, they're going to watch you. If you're in a taxi cab, if you're walking through the mall, they're going to see where your eyes are, man. They want your 100% attention. They don't play that, man, because they know they're going to bend over backwards for you. They don't want you playing them games like that. Yeah, he certainly, well, he's just new. And this is what happens to a lot of guys. The Philippines is so different. That's why I like it. It's never gotten boring to me because it's so different. Everything is so different from where I'm from. And I needed that when I came here in 2009. But it's so different, and every day I see something different like that. I promise you, man. Imagine, I'm a Gemini, man. We get bored. I've never got bored with this place. It's just something special to me. But he's just never been here before. Like I told you, 2 months before I came to the Philippines, I was in Cancun, Mexico. And it's women from all over the world there then. It's not the Mexico it is now. Venezuela, everywhere was open. I mean, beautiful women, but man, it didn't. Man, my nose wasn't open until I came over here. See, a lot of those places when you go to Brazil, Colombia, and all that, you still fantasizing, man. I was over here. You don't have to fantasize. It's reality. You see the beautiful women, you can actually be with them. I'm just being honest when I tell you that I wouldn't have a woman like Marilyn over there, man. I don't care how much money I earn. And if I do, it's already going to be in her mind, okay, he's a trick. He's 20 years older than me. She's going to be embarrassed and all that. Unless I'm Dr. J or somebody like that. I'm talking about just a regular, ordinary guy. You know. I done pinched myself so much, that like, it ain't funny. He says, just so easy to make that connection. People here, man, just treat you so good, man. They don't bother you. You got all this beautiful nature and the beaches. See, we're going to the beach, the funeral's Wednesday. So probably this weekend, man, we'll be going to the beach. I haven't been to the beach since I've been back. Well, you wouldn't corrupt her. He says if he brought his woman back, would it corrupt her? If it corrupt her, she was corrupt over here. He said, my woman's sister used to always try and throw herself at me. I treated her like COVID, 6 feet away at all times. And see, that's cringy. That's never happened to me. But a lot of guys, they come over here and they lose their damn man. He says, everyone staying home on election day. I don't go out for any reason. Crazy shit happens during election. I always stay in. Did you go by the gym, Maryland?
Yeah.
Is it open?
Yeah.
Regular hours? So are we going later or not?
I will after I vote.
Oh, she's voting today. Yeah, but he's telling the truth. I already said this. I told him, look, guys, y'all need to, if you in Dumagetti, stay in Dumagetti. Wherever you are, if you're on the resort, stay on the resort, man. Stay out of their way. You know, this is big over here. And depending on where you live, parts of the Philippines, man, you be smart to stay in. That Abra that my buddy Philip Cooper was telling me about, he said, Cal, I live about an hour south of there. He said, it's really volatile during election time. Hey, Sonny D, thanks for that super chat. He said, hell, if I had a woman like Marilyn, I wouldn't have her over now either. I'm really unfortunate, man. I'm not saying that, man, you know, to be honest with you. Because I've been over here long enough, and I got something to weigh it up against. I know I've got a good woman. Especially if you get a woman who goes into the gym like that. See, that's a turn on to me. She doesn't sit around and get, you know, big and think, oh, well, you know, he's going to love me anyway and everything like that. No. The 20-year-olds and 20-somethings, they can't deal with Marilyn. That's why they like her so much. She works out. She's like an example for them. You know, because a lot of the times, if you get a woman over here that's got a shape like Marilyn, usually she's in her 20s. Because once they start getting in their 30s and they're not working out, you know, they're not going to get fat, but, you know, they'll get a little puffy. But Marilyn don't have any fat on her, man. I mean, she really looks good. And, you know, I like it. Because I don't have to fantasize anymore. It's real, you know. And when I buy her G-strings and stuff. She didn't wear them. I started buying them for her. I think she had one pair before. But yeah, guys, my battery's getting ready to go down. I want to thank y'all for your super chats, super stickers, all your thumbs up, all your support for Sunshine Shoulders, man. I really mean it. He said, Marilyn's in amazing shape. She is. See, Marilyn was an athlete in high school. I started her back working out, though. When we first met, we used to only do that routine that I do, that body weight routine. Then when we moved in that house, the house of horror, right? We started going to the gym, and she just got bit by the gym, man. And, you know, they love Maryland, the trainers over there, because most people that work out, man, they really be wasting those people's time. They love Maryland because they know she's really in there to work out. And what coach doesn't like that? He said, Big Shirley. Yeah. Yes, some of them, you know, but like I said, you know, if you see Marilyn, like yesterday, like I said, man, she looked just as good as those little young girls out there when she wears them shorts and stuff like that. And you see a lot of older women like that because, you know, fitness is big over here. It's a lot bigger than you think. It's grown since when I first started coming over here. But let me take that back. It hasn't grown. It's always been big because I remember in 2010 when I lived in Cebu, we used to go to this outside gym every day. It was only 10 pesos, but you could lift weights. Most people were there jogging or running. They were playing basketball, volleyball. They were doing Zumba. It was just a big place in Cebu. So yeah, it's always been that way. He says, I'm in the province area of Davao. Yeah. Okay. You better be careful. Yeah, 10 pesos. No, it's not. It's not. It's not hard to find that. Hey, thank you. It's not hard to find that. Women here are not the typical Asian women, man. They just not. Did you see the young lady that passed away? Go look at my community page and see, and you tell me that ain't no meat on her bones. That's why she fell in love with Merlin, though, because, Merlin's going to push them. Those girls were really, I mean, fitness fanatics, man. And, they don't want anybody in there playing around. I mean, they really working out in there, man. And, they fall in love with Merlin. All of them do. All them young girls like that. The girl who's competing now, who you think a role model is? Merlin. And then that's why I encourage Merlin, if it's close by, to go and support her. That's where they were. They were supporting the girl, the young girl, the other young girls. Maylene. How old is Maylene? 26. Rizelle was 27. She wasn't 26. When the accident happened, they all went up to Bacolod to support the young lady in their competition. That's why they were there. And you go over there, man, you see it. You'll be like, man, so if you're into fitness like that, that gives you another reason to, to be able to meet a woman. But let me say this, because I think Merlin, don't mind me saying this, the girl who died, okay, she was dating or married to a foreigner, but he wasn't treating her right. She wanted to come on my channel. I just now found this out, to try to meet somebody that will rescue her from that situation. He was a young guy, Now imagine, go and look at that woman. This woman was beautiful, man, inside and out. Young, no children, no nothing. But the man had a roving eye. He's looking at other women, But she wanted, she asked Merlin, she said, you think Calvin can help me? Man, y'all guys would have lost your man if she'd have came on my channel. But it's just a sad situation that happened. I mean, it really is. I didn't know her personally. I knew her. I used to work out right next to her, but I didn't know her to speak to her, but she's one of Merlin's best friends. He said, Cal's your sleep pattern better? Yeah, I'm back. For 3 nights, including last night, I slept all the way through, at least to 5 o'clock. Yeah, he said they're small, but they treat you like a man and take good care of you in return. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at this, Merlin. He says, I'm in Bacolod. 5 shot, 1 dead at 5 this morning. They're speculating it's political. Wow. Hey, you're welcome, Mike. But, we didn't have to know whether you were, gay or not, man. Just, let that be your, I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to know that. I mean, we're not going to treat you any different. Yeah, he said, yeah, Merlin's friend was found in all outdoors. I would have loved to meet her. Yeah, you'd be surprised, man, because what happens is the same thing. Beauty still intimidates Western men. So you come over here and you see a woman like that, you would think, man, I know she's got 100 guys hunting her down online. No. She was asking Merlin, before she died, man, she was asking Merlin, could I help her? Could I bring her on my channel and maybe meet somebody nice? Okay? And it's like that. That's why I tell you guys to meet the women online, because you're not going to meet them in person. You may have a chance at them, but the way they look is going to scare you. We're still intimidated by beauty, and you are. So even though you see the woman there and you probably got a good chance of meeting her, you're not going to say nothing to those women, man. It's beautiful women everywhere. You come over here and you go to some of these places, okay, it's going to shock you. You're not going to say anything to them. I would say, um, go online where they're going to date you. You know, they're looking for somebody. They've already told you, okay, yeah, I'll date an older foreigner. Even though there's women out in the street that'll do it, you don't know which ones will. And all it takes is for the wrong woman to shoot you down, and you may never. What's he working on out there? Is he? Why he's here? Why don't he fix that?
That's right.
Is that what he's doing? Yeah, one of my lights on my, how at the top of my gate is not working, so I think her brother's fixing it. He's off today because it's election, but he's over in Iloilo now working. I mean, this guy's he's never, man. I always got to catch him in between jobs if I want him to fix something. And I pay him top dollar because he gets top dollar everywhere he goes. That's why when somebody was on here and said, "Oh, it takes a long time to get something fixed in the Philippines," I'm like, dude, who are you dealing with? Okay, I thought I had a leak in my main line from my main water line. So I asked the engineer, I said, "Hey, can you send some plumbers over here, man?" 4 plumbers showed up. But we gave the business to the first 2. And they said, "No, you don't have a leak. Your water meter's not working." And then they fixed we had a faucet in the bathroom that's leaking. Said, you may want to fix that. We let them fix that. Yeah, it takes about a week. It took me a little bit longer this time. And it seems like it affects me more when I go home. But take care, y'all. Stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Now, I'm the 8th or 9 kids. I've got 4 brothers that were older than me. By the time I grew up, nobody messed with me. I didn't have my first fight till I was 29 years old. And the guy really pushed me into it. He put his hand real close to my face like that, right? And just out of instinct, I pushed him here and pushed him down on the ground. I just held him down because we were friends, really. And I don't know what we were arguing about, something stupid. And that's really the only fight I've ever had. I didn't have to fight growing up. Because like I said, I had a brother 3 years older than me. My brother 5 years older than me, man, he rest in peace. He was a bully anyway. Nobody messed with him. When you see him coming, they get across the street. So they knew that was my brother. And then my 2 older brothers, they were like the hipsters in the neighborhood. Everybody used to hang at our house anyway. Because their mothers and fathers wouldn't deal with that. A lot of the people smoked weed for the first time over my house, drank beer for the first time and liquor, and probably brought the girl over to, screwed for the first time at my house. We had that kind of house. But I never had any fights. I don't fight, man. I just don't do it. Yeah. That's okay. He said, Thailand has been an amazing experience of self-discovery. At 52, I'm a proud gay man. I'm not ashamed to say it. I don't blame you, man. I mean, I just, on a channel like this, it's just no, I live here, man, basically. He said, you back again for a little while. Man, I was here 6 years before I went back home. It'd probably be another 6 before I go back home. There's nothing there for me but my family, man. And, honestly, like I told y'all before, after 1 week, it was going to be crickets. Okay? It was going to be crickets. And it basically was. Because they're not used to me being there. So I wasn't running across their mind. When they got off from work, they went home and did the same thing. They didn't come over my daughter's house to check on me. You know, I had my daughters cooked me dinner, had a dinner for me. I got to meet all my grandkids. And then my sister and my sisters and brothers had a dinner for me. After that, it was back to normal. He said, "You got it made, Chief. Merle's a beautiful woman. I'm glad to continue to support you and your family." Hey, I appreciate it. But you know, man, I'm going to tell you something. Have you ever seen Michael Beach, A Life's Woman? Man, the women that these guys have over here are unbelievable. That's nothing. That's why I tell you guys, I say, you know, try to get everything else together first. Get your money together. You know, get your mind together, your health together. Because a woman is going to be the least of your worries. Some of these guys over here, man, they got this, um, you know, just, I mean, I don't care where you live. They will be considered 8, 9s, and 10s. I mean, they're just beautiful women, man. He said, "Yeah, what a tragedy. This beautiful young woman is gone such an inhumane way. It hurts." Yeah, it's really shocking to me. Merlin's going through it. She's holding it in, her and her friends. Imagine being there when it happens, guys. But, you know, life is precious, man. You never know. You know, in Maryland's mind, she's trying to relive it. What if I did this? What if I did that? How did it happen? Did she try to beat the uh, truck across the street? You know, I'm like, Maryland, don't do that to yourself. You wasn't there. You don't know. It wasn't your fault. You know, the man didn't see her? I mean, it's just just a horrific way for that young lady to die like that. I mean, she got hit, man. This truck was going full speed. There was no hope for her, man. You know, and you know the thing about it is, uh, they just left her out there in the street like that. They didn't cover her up, man. And you know, people was filming that, putting it on their Facebook and stuff for clicks and views and stuff. And people was like, "Look, take that down." And show this young lady some dignity, man. I mean, she was just all body, just all disfigured, you know. I mean, imagine getting hit by that truck like that. I mean, that's what's really messing them up. You know, the sudden death, guys, really affects you more than if somebody's sick and you go back and forth to the hospital and you expecting them to die. Well, imagine you crossing the street with somebody and they get run over and dead. That's it. But take care, y'all. You know, that's why I really thank y'all for helping her family, man. It's a difficult time for them. You know, however much money we sent them. So I don't know, it didn't go through me, but I know that y'all helped them out a lot. It means a lot, man. You know, it's not going to help them, but help. It means a lot. And, you know, imagine that guy, the guy she was either going with or married to, he hadn't seen the girl in 3 years. But I think he's there now. Shit, I'd have been there every damn day. But take care, y'all.